Black Feather, because if they go for the Black Feather, Qlash could go for the Rona, and that's Rona Rhyme against triple melee. That would be devastating to go up against. So I hope they don't go for the Black Feather. I do expect SK to not go for Grace this time around. Something like a Catherine or a Lance would probably play better for them, and I think they will try to get that instead because Grace didn't work out for them last game.
We'll see what direction they want to go with that captain pickup. They've only got 12 seconds left on the clock to make that decision, and Grace is going to be the lock-in here for SK.
Nope. They want to try it again, and I mean, it didn't really do that much in my opinion. The sustain was coming through, but it just was not enough to win them the game. So they decide to go for it again. They say it's not the problem, it was more about how we played it.
And it'll be interesting because obviously this is then them also saying that they want to go a little bit later in the game because Grace doesn't have, does have impact, but really comes online and really starts to shine once the Echo is completed and in the inventory. So those double heals are the key for Grace. We've seen other teams run the Grace, and once the Echo comes through, all of a sudden that's when they have this massive power spike. But the Kestrel is the option for Qlash. I like Kestrel into the Krull. I like Kestrel into the Grace as well. You can set up some really strong stuns with the active camos, but Baron will be the option for SK Gaming. This is something that Kvalifar doesn't really play that frequently, and so it'll be interesting to see how he's going to be able to perform, especially into a Rhyme and Catherine, because they are both so durable. And if you double shot a Catherine while she has her Stormguard up, you are going to be damaging your own team by a hefty amount.
Yeah, not only does Kvalifar not play Baron often, he is a good player on Baron. Obviously, he's a good player in general, so he can perform on whatever. The problem here is that they have a very late game scaling composition with the Baron and the Grace. They're going to become very strong, but they need to get there first, and the Kestrel and Rhyme can put a lot of pressure early game and mid game and can shut down the Baron and the Grace before they get to their strong point. So Qlash coming into the second game with a stronger draft in my opinion, and they could very possibly take the series here.
All right, the onus is on Qlash in this series to finish this out with a 2-0. They've got to be proactive. They've got to be getting in the grills of SK. Let us know who you want to take this on Twitter. #Vainglory8. Get involved in the conversation. It's time to head into game 2 of this semi-final. Qlash could pull out an upset. Let's find out if it's going to happen.
And what an upset it would be. I'm Medic, I'm joined by Denominate today, and we are bringing you the second game between Qlash and SK. And you can hear almost the anticipation from G2 and from Space Station Gaming. We're saying, come on, Qlash. You can hear the cheers ringing out from those gaming houses saying, come on, Qlash, we want you to win. We want to be able to actually continue in our quest for that spot in Worlds for Europe. But SK might play upsetters here. They might play a pivotal role in stopping anyone else getting a spot from Europe. I think Denominate still has his microphone muted and hasn't realized it. Hegman's taking a little bit of damage here. The Treant there. Masili's coming in from the side. Hegman secures it and uses his boots to run away with the healing flask as well. Gets himself away to safety.
I'm sorry for leaving you hanging there, Medic. I was coughing, so I did have to mute myself.
Oh, that's all right then. That's fine then, mate. It's better to know that you didn't cough on stream.
Anyway, so we've got some interesting drafts set up here. Baron is something we've really seen fallen off the meta for quite some time, and into the Kestrel, it can make a lot of sense. So obviously Kestrel, one of those heroes that is going to go with 4 offensive items. Now, what's going to be interesting to me is the defensive item that Mercedes chooses to go this time around. So there is going to be a double weapon power carry composition here, right? We have the Baron, we have the Krull. They both have their weapon power started already. I can't imagine that we're going to see a CP Baron competitively. So, you know, I gotta feel like it's double weapon. But there is a reasonable amount of crowd control that comes out of the side of SK. So we have the From Hell's Heart obviously coming out of Krull, and we have the Holy Nova coming out of Hegman. So is Mercedes going to commit into armor for his 1 defensive slot item? Or are we thinking he's going to go for that reflex block to potentially block up the From Hell's Heart? That's kind of the difficult thing to make of here. But now it's Tyra's coming in.
Yeah, already jumping onto Agony. There's the Holy Nova knockup. Always difficult to trade melee into a Rhyme, of course, but Tyra's doing a good job looking for that Spectral Smite. Has the stacks up if he can get the final bit of damage down onto Agony. Not quite enough. And Tyra's won't be able to secure that kill, but they can chase Agony and Disowned out of the jungle. Backs are there if they wanted to take it. Hegman goes in for the kill, gets stunned up straight away, gets a 1-for-1 trade, but First Blood does go down. Looks like that did go to Hegman. Agony able to answer with a kill of his own.
Hegman able to get the first blood. He did give up his life, but he gets that bounty gold as well for that first blood. So he does take the better trade there, which results a little bit in favor of SK. But right now the gold is even as Rhyme is clearing out his jungle. But Tyra's sneaky little devil here takes away the middle treant. And now with Hegman rotating down, they might look for another fight here. Tyra's is level 4 and has the healing from that treant and should be able to smite this one.
Doesn't quite get it because it was stunned up with the Merciless Pursuit. Great play by Qlash to secure it. Agony, the one to take the Elder Treant. Disowned, very on point with that A ability. The Merciless Pursuit continually landing stuns when he needs to.
Yeah, it's a useful tool into these heroes that are melee that need to come in. Hegman, can obviously root up stun up the Catherine and the Rhyme when they're trying to get to the back line. And then looking over at Disowned, he can obviously stun up Tyra's if he's trying to dive onto Mercilli's. So we're going to have to look for those crowd control abilities to be used timely in the fights to favor Kvalifar and Mercilli's to be able to get their damage down. Now, back when Baron was popular, the one real big pick that everybody liked into him was that Idris. But the Kestrel was very useful as well. If you can use that active camo and get around to the edge of a fight and hit a Baron with a couple glimmer shots, you're going to be able to trade out damage with him very easily. But Tyra's is looking for damage on a Disowned here.
Oh, quite able to get the kill with that Spectral Smite, but Disowned very low. Agony's coming in to try and protect his laner and his roam. And SK definitely on the front foot early on here, but Qlash still even in gold, still able to contain the SK threat for the time being.
Yeah, it's definitely going to be an important matchup. Now, PlayStation Gaming, they can, if they win this week and next week, they can tie where SK is right now. But even if SK loses this matchup, they will play in the third place decider match and can pick up a point there as well. So Space Station Gaming, you have to imagine, is watching these games incredibly closely, hoping that Qlash is able to pull things together here. And obviously G2, they are the closest team to catching up to SK, sitting only 4 points behind right now, 32-28 after the points tallied up from yesterday. So G2 definitely looking forward to this matchup as well. And off the back of that first game, SK was able to find opportunities where they were able to come in and steal the Kraken. They were able to push down a couple turrets. But for the most of that game after the 15-minute mark, it really started to look convincingly in Qlash's favor. The beginning was very gridlock, dead even. Here's the From Hell's Heart, not going to lock up anybody.
Yeah, it felt like a bad From Hell's Heart, in all honesty. Kvalifar jumped in, then the From Hell's Heart came out, but Disowned has overstepped now. The Spectral Smite can be used, but it's not enough HP to take down Disowned. The auto almost gets him. He does still have the fountain if a dive does occur. Agony getting chased out here, has got the level 6, has that Valkyrie, but needs to run away from Tyra's, who once again has that Spectral Smite up. Won't be able to get too much more out of that. Just feels a bit miscoordinated from SK in that engage, and even in game 1 when they were able to win those later game teamfights, they weren't able to actually challenge Qlash. What we've always known from SK is their resiliency, their abilities come back from any game. I actually missed that. I was looking at the jungle matchup. Good kill onto Mercilli's there as Kvalifar and Hegman secured themselves the first kill in that lane. Also, Agony's chasing onto Tyra's. Spectral Smite heals up Tyra's, but is not enough. Hegman looking for the Holy Nova knockup, but cannot trade into Agony. Ends up being a 1-for-1, with the jungle being traded out for that laner.
And this is kind of a similar start to what we had last game. We are dead even on gold 7 minutes into the game, and the trades have been very back and forth, similar to how game 1 was. And it's going to be interesting to see which team is able to pull ahead. We obviously know Baron used to be the biggest damage threat on the Halcyon Fold. He did receive about a 10% nerf to his damage, so still very viable, can be a very bursty hero, but maybe not quite what he used to be. So I can see where Kvalifar could be that hyper carry in the late game, especially with the lockup that Tyra's and Hegman are going to be able to provide. They can keep Agony off of Kvalifar. Kvalifar can start raining in those rockets and get some splash damage down. He does have to be careful, though. Oh, here we go.
Going in for that engagement. Merciless is the target. Doesn't quite get out as he's taken down by Kvalifar. Merciless is very much struggling in this lane now, and SK with a man advantage can look for the push here if they want. They're going to jump onto Agony. Hegman again goes in there, but Agony able just to sustain up a little bit in the lane and keep that minion wave away from the turret.
Yeah, and I do want to make note of what Kvalifar did in that last fight. So we obviously saw the From Hell's Heart come out from the Krull. Obviously, when a Kestrel's in that situation, she's going to drop the active camo to try to get rid of vision so that she can't get bursted down. But before Kvalifar jumped in, he did drop one of those Porcupine Mortars right on where Kestrel got locked up, which caused her to get revealed, and that's really the reason they were able to get that kill there. And now, with Kvalifar completing this tension bow, he's going to be able to pierce through some of the armor, which Merciless, Agony, and Disowned all have started purchasing, but he doesn't have that crit yet, so that's going to be something to make note of as well. I would expect Tyra's, he has the breaking point complete. I would think the next item is going to be that Bone Saw, just to try to help get the armor down so that Kvalifar can have that high-end burst. Probably going to go
Look at that crit that went to Kvalifar. 400 HP just gone. Divine Intervention is used. The one shot, one kill does not connect onto either Hegman or Kvalifar, and Qlash hold on to the lane for the time being. Tyrus has the From Hell's Heart if they want to look for the re-engage, just trying to get some damage down onto Agony with those weakness stacks as well. Kvalifar, crit, boom, not quite down. There's the Ion Cannon. There's the kill, and Kvalifar does a huge amount of work in that fight. Tyrus as well from the side, stunning up that Kestrel, and now SK can look to push forward. Another double shot after that jump jets from Kvalifar, who no longer has a cooldown, no longer has a cast time, on that jump jets as he's hit 200 weapon power. So effective. Look at that, jump straight away. Holy Nova from Hegman. His Grace has been on point this game. SK looking much more like their former selves.
Yeah, definitely. And again, it's the burst that this Baron provides that makes it so difficult. If Merciless gets locked up for any amount of time, Baron's going to be able to come in and clean things out very easily. And he's likely going to go into the Tyrant's Monocle and Tornado Trigger for his next two items. Probably sell off that Book of Eulogies here the next time he hits up the shop. And that's going to give him that burst that we know Baron to have. And when you use those jump jets to come in and you get that double attack, it can be so devastating to a squishy target like Merciless' health bar. And those are the kind of things that we have to look out for here, and that SK has to capitalize on. They can, if they take Merciless down first, they can easily kill Agony. So if they're focusing on Agony, it's going to allow Merciless too much time to play around in the fight and get the damage down. So SK playing it very well right now in this early and mid game.
Exactly what we wanted to see from them, and what G2 and Space Station Gaming didn't want to see. Breaking point finished on towards Tyrus. Hegman has the Crucible alongside that Fountain as well, so starting to hit these big item spikes. Disowned slightly behind, but has been stacking up those Captain of the Guard stacks, that heroic perk. Quite a lot of work, 18 stacks already at the 11-minute mark. Merciless takes a couple of crits to the back, and he's going to be forced away from this side. Pretty effective by Kvalifar, who just jumps back in. The threat of Baron is so huge when it comes to these situations. Kvalifar looking for the turret, pops the Iron Cannon down to try and force them back. Can't quite get the turret yet, but just one more auto will be enough. Agony takes a crit. That's the turret going down. Now Kvalifar needs to be careful because he has jumped in. There's the Valkyrie looking for the stun. The silence comes out a good route from Agony, but onto the backline goes Iwas. He's chasing onto Merciless, and Kvalifar's jumping around the fight. Gets the kill. Kvalifar still somehow alive. Agony will eventually take him down, and now Qlash in the midst of two members needs to try and get away because Disowned is the only one left alive. And SK set up for a 2-for-1 trade alongside that turret, and perhaps a gold mine to top it off.
Agony played that last fight so well. Unfortunately, Merciless was the one getting chased down. And again, if Merciless is the first one that gets dropped, it does make it very difficult for Agony to come through against a Baron and a Krull who shuts down a lot of his damage potential. And I'm a little in question of the build, so the rhymes that we see be really successful are usually going with the Shatterglass first item. Now, I understand the argument for Eve of Harvest, that you can heal yourself up while gaining fortified health. It is a very effective combination. but the amount of fortified health that you get when going with that Shatterglass first does help you actually not need the healing because you're building up so much fortified health, as well as you're putting out more damage. You've become a bigger threat. And that's just not what we've seen out of this Rhyme. He's finding good damage. He's not finding enough of it, especially since Mercillius is forced out of the fight so early on every time.
Catches onto Mercillius are absolutely devastating, and the fact that he has only got that single armor item thus far, only sitting on the light armor, not got a coat of plates yet, is really costing him. Active camo used by Mercillius, that's going to back up in about 4 seconds or so, but if Kvalarfar gets a couple of auto attacks off, that's all it takes. All it takes is 1 crit, 2 crits, and Mercillius is forced out of the fight once again. Almost on command, Kvalarfar finding the catches that he needs. From Hell's Heart is available for Tyrus. Kvalarfar jumps forward, pops the boots as well, looking for the chase, goes helicopter. Trying to get in that chopper, but cannot quite connect onto the Kestrel. Once again jumps forward, and even through the stealth gets those autos out. Divine Intervention used onto Kvalarfar to heal him back up, and SK now have the siege that they want. Minions pushing in as well. Mercillius gets the Treant to try and heal himself up, but it's going to be pretty dangerous. Actually, they went over to Agony, so Mercillius didn't even get the healing that perhaps he wanted. 1 shot, 1 kill, doesn't hit. SK still pushing forward. They are not happy with the fact they lost game 1. They want to show why they deserve that spot in the World Championships. Tyrus with the flank from Hell's Heart straight onto the back line. The Crucible comes down too little, too late. Say SK as they engage. Agony trying to do what he can, but even with the Valkyrie, even with the heals, he cannot survive through this fight. Disowned looks to be the first to fall as SK continue on the aggressive. He will get out. SK might just turn their eyes towards the turret instead. Good route with the chill wind. Agony not done yet. He's catching up onto Kvalarfar. Holding over with the stun, and SK perhaps stepped a little bit too far because Agony's not done with this fight. He wants to get onto Kvalarfar. Great Winter Spire gets the kill, and now Tyrus trying to turn it around with the weakness stacks, but he doesn't have that much damage on this Cruel, and Agony has a lot of damage as those Dragon's Eye stacks are building up. Gonna be SK running for the wins. Agony is low on energy. Tyrus can just dodge around with that Dead Man's Rush, gets himself back towards the Treant, but Agony says, oh no, you don't, I want a piece of this action. The Treant does go down and gone over to Tyrus, and with the Crystal Sentry coming in, perhaps Qlash will finally disengage this fight.
Yeah, it was really good of Agony to be able to come in and find a kill onto Kvalarfar, who realistically was playing, I would say, a bit too close to the Krull, who does have his boots upgraded to the tier 2, and we will likely see him go into Journey boots when he finishes those boots off. It's so useful for the Rhyme because he doesn't have any gap closers in his kit, so to have a boots active that you can refresh by damaging an enemy, lowering the cooldown from 60 seconds to 12 seconds, it allows Krull to get to that backline more frequently, and they're able to get damage onto Kvalarfar. Again, Mercillius has been forced out early in every single one of these fights. He does have a Metal Jacket now. He has the Sorrow Blade Double Monocle and a Infusion, but he still just takes so much damage when Kvalarfar is allowed to get onto him, especially with the health pool of Kestrel being so low. Here we go, good Holy Nova.
Good Blast Tremor as well, does get the silence off. Kvalarfar is low in that backline, and Mercillius has been able to survive this. The Iron Cannon doesn't quite connect onto most members of Qlash. Kvalarfar jumps in, great Crucible to block out the From Hell's Heart, but Tyrus still not done yet. 1 shot, 1 kill. Fountain used by Qlash as they turn back towards Hegman, takes a chunk. Qlash unable to find the kill at the end of it all. Agony going in. Pops the Winter Spire onto Tyrus. There's the route. The chill wins. Tyrus trying to dodge around, but he does just go down. And now Kvalarfar, it's all up to him. We've seen Tyrus make the big plays. Now it's on Kvalarfar. Qlash able to come out on top of that fight, but it's so close between these two teams. I don't think Qlash are done yet. Mercillius is going to step forward straight into the face of Hegman. Disowned there as well. All they needed was a stun on towards Kvalarfar, but they weren't quite able to find it. Kvalarfar will be looking for those crits. Mercillius still chasing onto Hegman, goes through a scout trap. There's a Crystal Sentry there. They don't want to push any further forward. Mercillius does steal away that Treant, and now Qlash will just back away. Let's quickly look at where the items stand for these two teams. Agony, Dragon's Eye, Eve, a Piercing Shard, and that Coat of Plates. Disowned has an Atlas and War Treads finish now as well. And Mercillius has that double crit. The Tyrant's Monocles have been completed alongside the Sorrow Blade and the Metal Jacket.
Yeah, this whole series has already been back and forth fights, specifically getting into this game as well. Mercillius is now working into his 4th offensive item, and this is smart in terms of blowing up that front line when they're trying to dive in. It should offer him a little bit more protection, actually, to have more damage, because if he's able to force Tyras out of the fight, it does make it very difficult for Kvalifar to engage without Tyras and Hegman getting in there to get the lockdown potential that they have. Disowned has the War Treads finished, and this should be an interesting one. Here we go.
In for the fight, Mercillius somehow alive at the back of this. A fountain has been used. Hegman jumps onto Mercillius, doesn't get the Holy Nova, and now Tyras is going to step into that active camo. Stunned up straight away. The fountain comes out. Kvalifar, 1-for-1 trade, but Kvalifar is now in the midst of all of Qlash. He jumps away with the jump jets. The Iron Cannon comes down as well, and Agony's gone the wrong way with this. Didn't realize that Kvalifar had gone back up to his mustache bush. That being a 1-for-1 laner for jungler once again. These fights are just neither team wanting to give an inch at all. Qlash can sense they are just one teamfight win away from perhaps being able to topple the giants that are SK.
They're definitely looking to do so. Finding a kill onto Tyras, while might not be the most ideal kill to get, they are at least able to pick one up for one of their own, so they at least even things out. Obviously, if they're able to get a kill onto Kvalifar, who has gone with a 2nd monocle now for his 4th offensive item. If they're able to get him down in a fight, it's going to be Qlash able to push very easily against the Kroll and the Grace. We just haven't been able to see that. Mercillius has not been able to find any damage on that backline, and Hegman and Tyras obviously making short work of this Kestrel and soaking up all that damage, locking him down, allowing Kvalifar to jump in and get the burst damage out. And that's what brings Mercillius down so low. I mean, even with the Metal Jacket, that double shot coming out of Baron, just it brings Mercillius down to half alone.
From Hell's Heart, from Tyras, great positioning by him. The active camera used by Mercillius. There's the Iron Cannon as well as Qlash have to try and get away from this. The Kraken has been started as well, and that's actually hitting onto Hegman, helping out Qlash for the time being. Kvalifar is quite low. 1 shot, 1 kill is not going to connect. Kvalifar jumps away. Tyras still looking for the flank here. Disowned in that front line. Porcupine Mortars raining down hell from above. Agony, once again, his positioning, his play has been so on point this series. He is the carry that Qlash have needed throughout these 2 games. It continues to be so in these fights. Oh, Kvalifar gone! And Hegman will be short to follow as well. Mercillius goes from 1-6-3 to the game-winning play, perhaps for Qlash, gets a double for himself, and gets them the Kraken as well.
Yeah, getting this Kraken taken down is huge for them because it's going to top off their health and energy. And then as they make the push, if Mercillius is able to get any time on the turret, they're going to be able to save a lot of health on this Kraken, as well as it's very difficult for Kvalifar to jump into a fight for where Mercillius is going to be positioned against this Kraken. He could potentially be jumping right into an active camo. Obviously, we'd have the stun and the root coming out of Catherine and Rhyme as well. And the fights that SK have been able to win, it's because Tyras has had such amazing accuracy with the From Hell's Heart. We've seen him several times weave it directly between Agony and Disowned, and they're able to get a kill onto Mercillius. And now it's Qlash looking to rotate here. You're still From Hell's Heart.
Straight onto Mercillius, he doesn't get out of the back of the fight. The Kraken's still alive, but now Disowned and Agony need to get away from this. Agony trying to re-engage onto Kvalifar, perhaps not the smartest idea at this time. The Valkyrie comes out the weak, the stack's building up as well, and Agony is dead. 2 kills to SK, but the Kraken does manage to break that closed off turret point and should be taken down before it takes down another turret, believe. That is a okay position, you have to say, for Qlash. Not exactly what they wanted, of course. Could have been a better fight for them. But getting rid of that choke point turret is so impactful when it comes into the later portion of the game.
Absolutely is. And again, when Tyras is able to find From Hell's Heart onto Mercillius, they're able to get the kill they need and go from there. And we saw it in that last fight. From Hell's Heart came out. Kvalifar immediately lined up the Ion Cannon, jumped in with the jump jets, got the burst down on the Mercillius. They were able to get the kill, and from there it was very easy for them to continue the damage. And Disowned did make it out, but without Agony or Mercillius alive, they weren't able to get the full potential out of that Kraken push. They at least get the choke point turret, which is the most difficult one to take, most would say. But they very likely could have got 1 or 2 more turrets if Mercilli's would have been able to make it out of that fight alive.
And we talked a lot about Mercillis' build here, you know, going for the quad weapon power item, the quad aggressive item. Kavalifar's got 5. It's a penta weapon power item now, sitting at 370 weapon power, not even counting the passives and the crit damage that he's getting out of those Tyrant's Monocles and the Tension Bow and the breaking point stacks. He can do so much work in these fights if he is allowed to. Look at that, even on Disowned, who has an Atlas, he is shredding through the health bar with just a couple of auto attacks. So if Qlash is able to stay alive in these fights, he can absolutely ruin Qlash's chances of taking the 2-0. But at the 23-minute mark, there is 100 gold in this game. SK and Qlash, so little between the two of them. Something that you would not have thought that I could say just a couple of weeks ago. You have to remember, Qlash are in the challenge zone. SK are top of the table. This is a top v bottom competition, and Qlash are showing just why their bite is as bad as their bark at the moment. Tyra's going for the engage. Does have Disowned use that Merciless Pursuit. All ultimates available here as well. Disowned with the Blast Tremor, has the Null Wave Gauntlet as well for that double silence. One shot, one kill, does not connect. Tyra's hiding in that bush, but a player spots him out on Agony and Merciless to make this fight. Good block from Qlash. Hegman jumps in as well. The Roams just teasing out these fights, testing the waters, seeing if they can find the opportune moment to engage. Qlash is a little bit low here. Disowned runs forward once again, looking for the stun. Only lands it onto Hegman. Blast Tremor blocked out there. There's the root as well. Tyra's trying to get on towards Mercillis. The weakness stacks are building up. There's the Iron Cannon as Qlash re-jumps back into the fight. The Valkyrie doesn't connect, and now Qlash are getting scattered to the winds. Disowned going to try and stun up Qlash. Agony in a 1v1 versus Tyrus has those weakness stacks built up on him. Qlash gets the double. Agony's going to have to try and retreat back towards his base, but it's a long walk to freedom for him. There's the knockup with the Holy Nova. Tyra's in the midst of it. Qlash there, the Crystal Sentry helping him out a little bit, but Agony still getting chased down. Qlash's going to dodge towards the other side, taking a lot of damage from that Crystal Sentry. There's the jump away with the jump jets, and Agony eventually falls. The 8th Breathy. A great team fight from them late on in this game.
Yeah, and they should be looking to turn on to the Kraken at this point. That was such a great fight for SK. Again, Tyra's able to lock down Mercillis is what allows Qlash to come in and get the damage down. And with the build that Tyra's has gone, he does have that kind of brunt force, a health bar that allows him to take in those glitter shots. And obviously, building up those weakness stacks will reduce Mercilli's damage anywhere from 5 to 50%, depending on how many stacks you get on there. So it helps him survive that way as well. Now, Mercilli's obviously has gone with the Metal Jacket because it's a double weapon power composition. So to compensate for the fact that he doesn't have a block, he's decided to go with the War Treads for some additional health on his boots. But again, he does not have a block, and Tyra's is consistently landing from Hell's Heart onto that Kestrel, locking him up, building up weakness stacks, and allowing Qlash to just delete Mercillis.
Back and pushing into this choke point turret. There's the Iron Cannon as well. SK might want a little bit more from this Kraken push. Disowned there in the front line, doing what he can, and Kraken's going to fall really before he even gets to this first crystal turret. Stun onto Tyrus to lock him up. He's got the From Hell's Heart to try and turn this one around if he wants. Disowned with that Storm Guard makes it so difficult for Qlash to push forward, of course. Qlash still able to hold on to this game. It's not over yet, guys. Qlash so close to those finals. They can taste that matchup later on, but they still have to get through this final defense of SK. We're putting up a monumental, a gargantuan task in Game 2 of this best of 3.
Yeah, and we got to remember, SK is a team that has, for the most part, looked the most consistent in all of Europe over the past couple of weeks. And I'm not feeling like that's the case today. I feel like they're making a good attempt at it, this second matchup here, but they're still making a lot of positional mistakes. Tyra's again on a Mercillis, though.
Yeah, Tyra's positioned so well there. Mercillis is dead. Agony's trying to chase on Qlash. They can kill them. They even out at a 1-for-1, but the Divine Intervention, the Valkyrie stuns up all 3 members, and Agony once again comes up huge for Qlash, but he's got those weakness stacks built up on him. It's onto Disowned. They need to try and get Agony out of this fight. He's going to use the Journey Boots. He picked him up from the shop in the midst of the fight, and now Tyrus is able to get there with the Dead Man's Rush. Disowned needs to come in from the side, but Tyrus hops the back, trying to get that up onto him, using the heroic perk effectively, and Agony is gonna fall here. SK get 2 kills, but Agony may have just held on to the game for his team by taking out Qlash.
And Tyra's has done I can't stress it enough how heavily Tyra's is really carrying in this game right now. Every single fight that we find, Tyra's is positioning himself in a beautiful position where he can land from Hell's Heart onto Mercillies and just essentially take him out of the fight. Once Mercillies is down, it's very easy for them to start turning on to Agony, despite how tanky this Rhyme is. Kvalifar does drop at the end of that, but, you know, it's SK in a great position if they continue the fights the way they are to win this game. Now, if Qlash can get the vision of Tyra's before they make an engagement and protect Mercillies from Tyra's getting onto that back line, they stand a much better chance at pulling off a upset here. But they just haven't been able to do so. They see Kvalifar and they blindly dive in, trying to get him down. And then here comes Tyra's from the backside. Kraken is started up. Can we get a steal here, though?
Iron Cannon's been used by Kvalifar. The secure does come out. There's the Valkyrie, doesn't connect. Mercillies down low, but he is now able to push forward because they know where Tyra's is. Kvalifar chased off towards the back. Agony down to half. He needs to get out of this one. There's the bounce into from Hell's Heart used by Tyra's, and Agony might be the first full good stun though onto Tyra's. Doesn't manage to take him out. It's on to Mercillies having to try and run away from this. Kvalifar's going to use the jump jets forwards. You have to feel. Gets it out. The active camo comes down though. Great double stun. Kvalifar is dead. Mercillies turns it around for his team. Hegman tries to jump in with a Holy Nova, but cannot get out. It's a double for Mercillies, and Disown chased off Tyra's for the entirety of that fight. It's going to end up being a 2-for-2 trade, but somehow Mercillies was able to turn that one around and can look towards taking out that Kraken as well. Great stuff from Disowned to separate the jungler of SK from the rest of his team and help Mercillies actually turn the fight around in favor of Qlash.
Yeah, Tyra's on the chase onto Disowned now. He should be able to get that kill. It's definitely Disowned wasting a lot of Tyra's time.
He's got Crucible and Atlas. Gonna step on a scout trap here. Has the null wave. Spectral smite. Oh, Stormguard to try and stop it, and there he goes again with a merciless pursuit from Hell's Heart. Stone didn't. Oh, he did have Crucible, but just wasn't quite able to use it, of course. And there's the kill. Tyrus takes it out, but look at that. Only one crystal turret went down with the Kraken push. That is big. There's 51 seconds though on Disowned. Not the best of times because Hegman's back up into an SK can try and force a fight. This contraption on Hegman has done such a good job gaining vision control for them because Disowned being able to pick up those flares, of course, makes it that you can't take these prolonged engages without getting to a shop and getting more flares, restocking yourself. Whereas Hegman can just use the contraption and have flares to boot.
Absolutely, and now Disowned, while wasting Tyra's time, I do want to make note that he has staggered his death timer substantially. I mean, he's still down for another 20 seconds now, and that fight ended a minute and a half ago. So it's kind of a rough spot to be in because now we look at SK, they're just able to push up because there's no captain here. And with Baron, you know, starting to get into the base here, he's going to have to back off because they don't have any minions. But, you know, they can really look to be aggressive if they continue with what's been going on. And the reason Mercillies in that last fight was able to turn things around was Tyra's was not on Mercillies. It was Disowned getting chased down by the Krull, and Mercillies was able to turn things around onto Kvalifar, and then obviously was able to drop Hegman as well. And, oh man, that's the damage that Bacon was talking about on the desk earlier. If Disowned can use the reflect properly onto that Baron, that was 722 damage reflected back to Kvalifar as he's overdriven the Stormguard that does, I believe it's an additional 25% damage return.
Disowned isn't in a good spot here though because he's chasing right on in. Tyrus has the flank. Agony pushes forward as well, but look at the base. Look at Mercillies. He's got the turrets. He's on the crystal turrets.
Yeah, that's all they're trying to do here. And they might have Kvalifar too.
Yeah, they're trying to kill Kvalifar. Meanwhile, in the base, that's where I'm looking at the moment. Mercillies is going to get taken out. Kvalifar on the chase as he runs away from Agony. Jump jets forward towards Disowned, but the Divine Intervention heals him up just a little bit. Disowned having to try and get out of this one. Pops a Stormguard. Agony turns it back around, but Kvalifar with the jump jets gets stunned up. It's up to Agony. The chill wins the route. They get the kill. Tyrus is on his way. Agony needs to get out because both of his teammates are dead, and Tyrus is on the hunt. He is prey, and he is the predator in the jungle. He's the Krull. Hegman trying to get the knock-up. There's the Holy Nova, and this should be Tyrus falling. Agony trying to get away with those Journey boots, but I don't think he's going to get away from the Spectral Smite. Manages to lose the weakness stacks, but they will build up once again from Tyrus. Agony just trying to delay this as much as possible. Still 23 seconds on Merciless, but SK get the ace and can turn towards the Kraken if they want. It looks like they are going to start that one up instead of going for the base to try and secure this win and take it to the third game of this best of 3.
The unfortunate situation for Qlash was it was a great play to try to get Merciless to push in the base because he has so much damage. He can burst down those turrets safely, but they had to prevent the recalls out of both Tyras and Kvalifard, not just Kvalifard. Tyras was able to recall to base, and he was able to get the kill onto Merciless before he could get that second turret. He did get one down, and he got half of the other turret, but, you know, it's now a Kraken marching towards the lone turret left for the side of Qlash as well. And with the way the fights have been going, I think this one is just getting ready to go over to SK.
You never know, though. You never know. All it takes is a pick. All it takes is a catch, because Agony is going to be back up. Disowned if he pops a good Storm Guard. You can see Merciless is sneaking here. All he wants to do is catch Kvalify. He pops the active. Oh, all he wants to do is take the base. Merciless going for the base. We see Tyrus is backing here, perhaps realizing that this might happen. The stun does come out, and Agony is going to go back towards base. Merciless is going to do the same. Active cameras into the bush to flare. I'm not sure if that caught him. Now they know where Merciless is. Tries to get away, but the From Hell's Heart is going to connect Tyrus with the chase here. Merciless has no place to go. Active cameras right at the last moment. Tyrus pops the reflex, and Merciless is dead. That, you have to feel, will be the game, because that Kraken is still very healthy on these crystal turrets. The Kvalify just waiting in the wings. Can push up in just a second. Has the ion cannon actually already used. The Porcupine Mortar comes out as well. That Kraken will take that first crystal turret, and SK can try and take a 2v3 for the win here. Agony on the Kraken won't even be able to take that down by himself. They realize it. SK are going to take the win. It's going to be 1-1 in this best of 3, and we're going all the way between SK and Qlash.
And I can feel the tears from Space Station Gaming as they watch in horror the SK able to get that last point they needed to eliminate Space Station Gaming. And now going into game number 3, I think Qlash has to respect the flexible hero pool that Kvalifard does have to his name. So that's all I've really got to say about this one in a